Hey everyone, welcome to ClearSquare's SQL for Analysts series. This series is designed to act as a free SQL course that will take you from a complete beginner, as in you don't even know what SQL is, to an intermediate SQL analyst, meaning you are comfortable using SQL to pull data on your own. Today's lesson is an introduction to SQL for Analysts, what it is, why it matters, and how it compares to Excel. So many of us are already pretty familiar with spreadsheets. Maybe you use Excel or Google Sheets to manage your data or run calculations. Well, if you're already familiar with spreadsheets, you're going to have a much easier time understanding databases. You can think of a database like a collection of spreadsheets, and each spreadsheet is called a table. So let's say you own a pest control company. You might have a bunch of different spreadsheets for storing data about appointments, customers, invoices, payments, services, etc. And you might store all of these spreadsheets in a folder on your computer. In this example, the folder on your computer is like a database, and each spreadsheet is a table within the database. To get the data from the tables in the database, you need to write SQL code, which is sort of like instructions to the database for how to pull the data you're after. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It was developed in the 1970s by two researchers at IBM. They originally gave it the name SQL, but it was later shortened to just SQL. That's why some people pronounce it SQL and some people pronounce it SQL. It doesn't really matter how you choose to say it. I like to say SQL because I think it's faster to pronounce. So why do we use SQL in databases? Why not just stick with Excel? Well, Excel is good for a lot of reasons. Since it's a point-and-click application, it's easy to learn how to use. We can see what's happening on the screen while we're performing the function. But if you have a ton of data and you choose to rely solely on Excel, you're going to end up wasting a ton of time trying to find your data and wait for the application to load. If you're an avid Excel user, you may have noticed that Excel starts to run pretty slow once you start adding tons of data to a spreadsheet, or if you just have a ton of calculations built into your spreadsheet. It can also be really frustrating when you're searching for the data you need amongst dozens of Excel files. It's just not the best way to organize your data. Additionally, storing your data in Excel files increases the risk of your data getting lost or tampered with. Saving your data as files rather than in a database means that you need to send these files to other people in order for them to be able to access the data. Then the people you sent the files to may add data, change data, delete data, or even create multiple copies of the files. Eventually, it will become very difficult to track down the source of truth or the most up-to-date file. This is not only a huge headache for you and your team, but it's also a huge data privacy risk. Instead, storing your data in a SQL database ensures that there is only one source of truth. When you or your team members need data, you can feel confident that the data you pull from the database is the most up-to-date information. Utilizing databases instead of Excel files ensures that your data remains secure and accurate. Now that you know what SQL is and how it fits into your analyst toolkit, you're ready to write your first query. In the next video, I'll show you how to set up your SQL environment from scratch. No prior experience required.